Hi there, I'm here with Nick Harcourt, and we're very excited to have Nick and Fantastic Negrito. We're going to be speaking at our upcoming event. Nick, why don't you start by just talking a little bit about yourself and your background and what you're doing?
Sure. Well, first up, I'm really looking forward to bringing Fantastic Negrito to the table. We're going to have a lot of fun. Talking about myself, you might tell by the accent that I'm from Brooklyn. I'm just kidding. I was brought up in Birmingham, in England, which is the home of heavy metal. You know, it's ironic that I've had this career here in the United States that has included everything except for heavy metal. But that's where I grew up. Black Sabbath, the industrial Midlands, obviously. Always into music. Had my own upbringing with the glam music scene. That's the music that was happening when I was a kid. But before that, the Beatles. You know, my parents played the Beatles, and that really is what set me off on this career, I guess. So I didn't really get into the music business though until I was a little older. I sort of done a little traveling first. I spent some time in Australia in the 80s and landed in the States in 1988 and got into radio in 1989 in Woodstock, New York, and had the very good fortune to stick around long enough and end up running that radio station, WDST. And then Los Angeles came calling, and I came out to LA in 1998, so 22 years ago now, which is kind of hard to believe, and took over a radio show here called Morning Becomes Eclectic, which back in the 90s and the zeros was probably the most important radio station in the world, from the point of view of we played whatever we wanted to, and we broke a lot of artists. I mean, we were the first, my version of the show was the first place to play Dido and Coldplay and Franz Ferdinand and Interpol and Sigur Rós and Damien Rice and Florence and the Machine, and just a long, long list of artists that we helped break. Adele, Norah Jones, there's so many. And because of that, I, got a career, I guess, as a tastemaker. And, I've been involved in television and film and music supervision and all sorts of stuff since then. So that's a very quick, Cliff Notes version of my story.
And when did you first meet Fantastic Negrito?
So I sort of moved out of radio for a while, although I'm back in it now, and I did television, and I did a television show for DirecTV for 5 years called Guitar Center Sessions, which was essentially a branded entertainment program of live music performance and interviews. And as most things run their course, things changed with the network that was running it, and that show went away. And 4 years ago, together with my partner, Keita Klein, who is a singer, we started a show, a web series called Nick Harcourt's Transmissions, and we did 12 episodes of this show that we sold to a website. And I was turned on to Fantastic Negrito by a friend of mine who at the time was working for TuneCore, which is a big distribution company, digital distribution for music. And we did a live session with Xavier, his real name. And I was just blown away. I mean, if anybody wants to go hit the Google and look for Nick Harcourt's Transmissions and Fantastic Negrito, you'll find some truly amazing performances. And that was the moment where I just thought, this is somebody pretty special. And I've been in touch with him, obviously, through the last 4 or 5 years, and have supported his career in a number of ways.
And what's happened with his career in the last 4 or 5 years since you first?
Well, I think that the first thing that's important to know is that, he had another version of his career back in the 90s under his name Xavier. And I think he was signed to Prince's production company or something like that, and was signed to Interscope Records, and was involved in a very bad car crash, and that pretty much nixed his career for a long time. And then about 6 years ago, he decided to come back with this new incarnation, Fantastic Negrito, which he calls Black Roots music. And since the 4 years ago that I met him, he's won 2 Grammys for Best Contemporary Blues Record. He's toured the world probably 6 times. I'm sure he's kicking his heels right now because he spent the last 4 years traveling the world. Done very well in Europe, by the way. And he's just been working on his 3rd album, I think, which is due to come out pretty much any minute. So he's been a busy guy.
We're really excited to have the two of you together on June 18th, and looking forward to it, Nick. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody. Thanks, mate.